Hello and welcome to Markets Today with me, Lukman Haris, a show where we talk about market happenings of the day and also discuss the counters that matter. The ringgit closed at 4.288 against the US dollar today, and the FBM KLCI closed 3.71 points lower at 1777.94 points. Today's story is there trouble brewing at OPEC. OPEC says it has secured commitments from 4 oil-producing countries to adjust their production to previously agreed output targets. Those countries are the UAE, Iraq, Kazakhstan and Malaysia. This is with the aim of reaching full conformity. However, it is unclear as to how or when the countries will adhere to targets set by OPEC. And joining me to discuss further about this is Shan Said. He's the chief economist of IQI Global. Shan, the likes of Iraq, the UAE and also Kazakhstan have not been meeting the output cut target, but they have not given any concrete reasons of not doing so. Do you think they have any tricks by deliberately not reaching this target, or maybe they just want to quietly benefit from any price increases that comes from this output cut?
Thank you, Lukman. Basically, the countries are looking at how to increase their market share. Ever since the oil price has touched $50 per barrel, it has given more incentive to oil-producing countries to pump in more oil. So I don't know whether it's like they're deliberately doing it, but all countries are more interested in their benefits. So as you know, the geopolitical risk is going up. That is making oil prices going up. The demand is going up. Lately, US dollar is losing its value against all the SDR currencies. So I think that is keeping countries to pump in more oil, and they will continue to do so moving forward.
So these so-called recalcitrant members, Saudi Energy Minister Khalid Al-Falih promised last month, in fact, that he will intensify pressure on this, lack of a better term, cheating countries. Do you think he will follow through, and what can he do?
I think it's quite premature to say. He will analyze the situation and the market reports before taking any firm decision on whether to put pressure on other OPEC countries or non-OPEC countries. But at the moment, I think it's quite premature to say.
Well, the likes of Iraq has complained that the estimates that OPEC uses to monitor compliance are inaccurate and that it has actually made the reductions in full. Do you think there's any truth behind this claim?
I think data have to be counter-checked and reconciled in order to have, the clear picture for decision makers and market players. So there could be some mismatch in data, but if they reconcile and counter-check, I think they will be able to get the clear picture of what is the actual production that is happening among OPEC members.
Yes, in fact, I can testify myself that if you look at these OPEC reports and you go to their website, they quote secondary sources as well as direct sources. It's fairly unclear. So does this potentially inaccurate measure or a way to measure data, does this point to a bigger problem of OPEC incorrectly estimating, and therefore do they face a danger that they are probably estimating that they are cutting actually less than what's actually required to balance the glut, meaning they're not doing a job that's good enough to balance the glut?
I think that's an important point, because all the data, whatever it is gathered, has to be counter-checked from 2-3 sources before you actually spread out in the market. And as far as glut is concerned, I think there might be a glut of 1 or 1.5 million in the market right now, which can be absorbed because the energy consumption, especially in ASEAN countries, is going up, and China is consuming most of the energy market consumption. So I think all the data have to be counter-checked on 2-3 sources before they can actually, release for the market to absorb and to make the clear judgment on the production details.
All right, thank you so much, Shan Said, Chief Economist of IQI Global, discussing the OPEC cut, or rather the lack of compliance of the OPEC cut. We shall wait and see. It's now time for the Business Brief. Canadian environmental and Aboriginal groups are filing a lawsuit to revoke Petronas's permit to build an LNG export facility in British Columbia. They claim this is because it will cause significant and adverse environmental effects. They add this is also to make sure that Petronas can't resurrect the plan in the future. The EPF says they have no plans to let go of its 49% stake in Plus Malaysia Berhad. Chief Executive Datuk Shahril Rizwan says this is because it is still generating good returns and also because UEM is investing in its network substantially. Second Finance Minister Datuk Sri Johari Ghani says the ministry has never used public money to help 1MDB pay its debt. 1MDB had previously missed a $603 million payment to the International Petroleum Investment Company or OPEC that was due last month. The deadline has since been extended until the 31st of this month. Let's take a short break. After this, we journey to Bintulu for a feature on the beginnings of Oil and Gas Services Company. Welcome back to Markets Today with me, Lokman Haris, and that oil and gas services company is actually Serbodynamic Berhad. Astro Awani has been following the journey of Serbodynamic since its listing early this year. And today, we are continuing our feature of that company by tracing back its humble beginnings from Bintulu, Sarawak.
The coastal town of Bintulu in Sarawak is the centre of energy-intensive industries. The landscape is dominated by the Malaysia LNG plant, the Shell Middle Distillate Synthesis plant with the Bintulu Combined Cycle Power Plant also in operation. It is here in this island of Bintulu that Serbodynamic has a workshop presence. Our journey of exploration and understanding the work that surrounds Serbodynamic Sdn Bhd continues. This time we are in Bintulu, Sarawak. Significantly, Serbodynamic had its origins here in Bintulu, undertaking MRO, maintenance, repairs and overhaul of rotating equipment and minor fabrication works at an established fertilizer plant back in 1993. Bintulu holds many memories for the trio of founders who first planted the seeds from which Serbodynamic grew. One of the trio, Haji Abdul Qadir Sahib, remembers where Serbodynamic first set foot in Bintulu and the shed where it all started.
I'm standing at a place where it all started for Serbodynamic way back in 1994. So Serbodynamic was set up in 1993. We were using a small rented office back in Tanjung Kidurong site. So we were trying to get jobs, but everybody turned us down. But because we never had any workshop. So it was #1 criteria that we have to have a workshop.
It was in 1994 that Serbodynamic bought this 1-acre piece of land in the Kidurong Light Industrial Estate, where the first site office stood. The rest, the saying goes, is history. Called the Bintulu Service Centre, this facility serves as a workshop to support the area's offshore and onshore oil and gas industry. Vice President of Serbodynamic, Sarawak and Sabah Operations, Zainul Rashid, says Serbodynamic has built the capacity to provide technical support either on or off-site.
All these machines are used to support and fabricate, including machining of parts that required to be installed on site. If we cannot do in situ on site, then we have to bring the thing back here. And this workshop also supports our upstream and downstream sector in Bintulu area, plus within this region, and also in general industry in Samalaju area.
He adds, Serbodynamic's presence has created opportunities for it to become a one-stop center for all industries in Bintulu.
And that gentleman you saw just now is Executive Editor of Astro Awani, Abdul Razak Cik. He's now here with us to share his experience. So Razak, how and why is Bintulu central to the Serbodynamic story?
Lukman, of course you've heard of the adage from tiny acorns. Now from humble beginnings in Bintulu, that was where the seeds of the prosperity of Serbodynamic was laid way back in 1969, when the company first, in 63, was incorporated, and then 64, when you saw the VT, Haji Qadir was telling you about how they started off small. They had a workshop presence. So that was where they started to build a workshop, and they attracted customers to come to them. And from there, they grew. When you come to Bintulu, what you need to know are a few acronyms. ONM, MRO, IRM. Right. So those things are, if you work for Serba Dynamic, those are the things you live by, your bread and butter. ONM meaning operations and maintenance, MRO, maintenance, repairs and overhaul, and IRM is inspection, repairs and maintenance. So the word maintenance appears many times. You see, when Bintulu was founded, which has a history way back in the 1860s, the days of the White Raja, when it was acquired. And then in 69, when oil was discovered off the coast of Sarawak, that was when industries like what Serba Dynamic is offering made their presence felt. So they offered services in the engineering services sector to offshore drillers, and also in Bintulu itself, there were big companies like the Shell Middle Distillate Plant. And then you had also the fertilizer plant there. Yeah.
So with the Labuan operations in place, what can we expect from Serba Dynamic in this financial year?
The word Labuan, when you said Labuan, when we visited East Malaysia, we went to Labuan, we went to Miri and Bintulu. Today, our focus is on Bintulu. So what Bintulu does is it has a number. Serba Dynamic operates a number of workshop and service centers, and Bintulu is one of them. And it's very important. When you saw the VT, Dikade was saying that the customers wanted to be able to bring Serba Dynamic had to be able to carry out repairs away from site, away from offshore facilities. So when the need arose, so that was when Bintulu was set up, because bigger jobs could be offered to clients outside who are operating offshore.
Right. Thank you so much, Esrawani Executive Editor Abdul Razak Chief, for explaining his tour of the Serba Dynamic plant in Bintulu, Sarawak. And that wraps up this episode of Markets Today. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at 501 Awani. Download our app, as you can see, on Google Play. Also available on the Apple App Store. I'm Roman Haris. Thanks for watching and goodbye.